wasn't going to do this video, I really wasn't, but UPS, you did me dirty for the last time. It's 2021, and it looks like shipping is doing the same stuff it was doing in 2020. The pandemic caused international sales to tighten. Combine that with the last US president personally attacked the United States Post Office that it still hasn't really recovered from. We got shipping containers being lost at sea, shipping containers getting stuck in the Suez Canal. I've had more delays, requotes, and other bizarre things happen in the last year than I've had in this hobby as a whole ever. And so that's why I tried to give UPS the benefit of the doubt, but I've got now 4 ongoing issues, and enough is enough. So my girlfriend thought that I should vet it out to you guys, see if you have the same experiences as me. So some of this is a few months old, so I'd like to say that I've gotten over it, but clearly I haven't. And the first thing I'm going to tell you about is a UPS incident that happened when I ordered my Spider-Man Hot Toys. I think it was the Iron Spider suit, and it was supposed to come in November, and I waited and I waited, and it was supposed to arrive on like a Monday. And I kept checking my tracking and nothing was happening. And every day it was said, oh, it's going to arrive on Tuesday. It's going to arrive on Wednesday. It's going to arrive on Thursday. Finally, I was just starting to think maybe it got lost and they were just dicking around with me. On Friday of that same week, my sister actually came to visit from New York. And she was coming down. She arrived at like 9:30. And she comes to the house and she gives me the package and says, this was out in the street. Now, what's especially interesting is I'd actually been out and about in my car, and I'd been driving, and I came back to the house at like 8:30. So someone from UPS not only delivered this and left it in the street, but they left it in the street during a night 5 days after it's supposed to arrive in wintertime in November. What? I was pissed, but the thing was, the package was not harmed at all. So I just said, you know what, we'll give them this one, whatever. 1 week later, still I think this was November, I had a batch of 25 comics come back from CGC, and I opted for UPS to deliver it to me. He came back, and the box was actually destroyed to the point of, if it wasn't my comics being in jeopardy, it was laughably destroyed. Like, they should have been embarrassed to drop this off from me. Anyway, so obviously, you know, I contacted CGC and they gave me a shipping label to send it all back out to them. So I did that. I sent all the books back because not only was the box damaged, but pretty much all of the slabs were damaged in the process. I think I kept a couple of the slabs that looked good. I think probably only 4 were not damaged out of 25. Sent it back to CGC. And then it's worth noting that was a pre-screen. So I think like 20 out of the 25 books that I sent in got the 9.8, okay? Sent it back to CGC, and unfortunately, because of the damages that were involved with the UPS, some of the comics weren't going to get the 9.8s again, so I took a couple hits. It actually resulted in one of the worst CGC unboxings that I've ever done, but obviously it wasn't CGC's fault, it was UPS's fault. So a couple weeks later, in I believe it was December now, I asked UPS to come because you can schedule them if you've got a big package, and if your UPS or whatever is 20-30 minutes away, you want to schedule them to come to your house, you can. I told them to come to the house, and it took about 2 weeks of finagling with them to get them to come to my house. Even after it said that they were confirmed to come on this set day, they never came. So finally, I got them to come, and they took my package, a bunch of books that I was sending down to CGC, a bunch of raw comics. 3 weeks go by, I'm not seeing anything new happen with the tracking. So I end up having to go to the UPS that I should have probably just done in the first place. And they were actually able to find the big box in store, in the back of their stockroom, or whatever. So it made its way to CGC about 5 days later. It's like, that was like 5 weeks I lost. I should have just taken it to FedEx. That's what I should have done. So now in January, I bought a guitar pedal. If anyone knows what this is, it's like a tube screamer. It amplifies the effects of your pedal, whatever. We're here to talk comics, not guitar, so I won't bore you. And I actually forgot that I ordered that, and we're going to come back to that in just a second. So now it's January and I've got a few UPS issues already under my belt. So here's when I had a big fat USPS issue. I sold someone a slab comic. It was a newer comic. Sold it through Instagram. It was like a $50 book. Sent it out in the mail and it actually got damaged, which was pretty crazy. If you guys know me, I pack things tighter than tight. And it got damaged. So I was like, all right, wow. That was actually the first time I've ever sent something that it got damaged. Guy sends me the pictures and I put in a claim with the United States Postal Service and I did not hear back for weeks and weeks. Obviously I had to refund the guy, so now I'm just waiting to hear back. Didn't get an email, didn't get any notification. I got a letter in the mail in March, almost a full 2 months later from when I actually put the claim in. And you know what they told me? They said, oh, we need a picture of the box. We need a picture of all the contents and wrapping materials that the product was in within the box. What are the chances the guy I sent this to 2 months ago still has that? So I messaged the guy, and of course he doesn't have a picture of the box anymore, or the bubble wrap that I used. Come on. So I just had to chalk that up as a loss. But it really made me wonder, like, what if that was an X-Men #1 CGC 8.0 or something crazy? Like some $500,000 comic. Would they just not honor the claim? Did they find a way? If they just send you a letter 2 months later, is that their way of getting out of any responsibility? So that was really unfortunate, and that was really quite a shame. But UPS, we're coming back to you. February 9th is when something really unacceptable happened. So this was actually my first Hot Toys from The Mandalorian, my first Star Wars Hot Toys, you know, big deal. I think it was the Incinerator Stormtrooper. Awesome piece. Anyway, so I was supposed to get this thing kind of similar to my Spider-Man Hot Toys. It was supposed to arrive on a Monday, and it didn't. And I was like, oh boy, here we go again. They're going to deliver it to me at 9 o'clock on a Friday and leave it in the street. So the next day was Tuesday. They updated the tracking and they said that it was going to be arriving that day. Waited all day for some sort of notification, looking out my window because I work at home. You know, I'm always checking. And no one came, whatever. And, you know, now it's nighttime. I'm watching a movie, that sort of thing. And I decide, you know, before I go to bed, let me go down my driveway and look one more time. I grabbed a flashlight and went down my driveway. And guys, it might be important for this story to know how long my driveway is. And also, anytime I get anything from UPS or USPS, I always require signature delivery because sometimes it's high-end collectibles and stuff. I need that face-to-face interaction of getting the package from them. Some of this stuff's pretty serious. So anyway, I get down there, I'm shining the flashlight around, I'm not seeing anything, you know, oh, whatever. By the way, it had been snowing, so now we've got like, I don't know, 6 inches of snow on the ground. I almost gave up looking when I saw something next to my recycling cans that I left on the side of the street, which, by the way, the next day, they were coming to take the recycling. I went over and checked it out, and it was clearly a Hot Toys box, but they had wrapped it in a bag. I guess they thought, oh, you know what? It's supposed to be signature delivery, but if we wrap it in a small plastic bag and leave it down here, that'll be safe. So obviously not. Then upon closer inspection, I had actually saw that someone had hit the box. So they must have left it similarly to what they did with Hot Toys Spider-Man. They left it in the street, and someone must have come by the street and hit it, and it actually spun it over into my recycling pile. So I pick up the box, and, you know, I am pissed off at this point. I bring the thing back to the house. I'm like looking up UPS on Facebook. I'm getting annoyed. And I'm looking at this thing, and sure enough, the plastic bag obviously didn't do anything. It was wet out, so now the box was already damaged from the hit, but snow had gotten in there, so it was already wet and gross. And not to mention, if I hadn't gone out at midnight, The trash and recycling guys were coming out the next morning, and it was with all that crap. So it would have just gotten completely removed. It's also worth noting that UPS still did not show that it was delivered at this point. They didn't mark it until delivered until the next day. So I contacted UPS customer support and I was on hold for an hour and I didn't get anywhere. Probably it was for the best because I probably would have honestly cursed them out because I was so mad. Anyway, so obviously I went to Sideshow, who is where I got the action figure from, and they made it right by me. They're like, wow, that's insane. And, you know, I guess they filed a claim with UPS on their end. I never know if they got the money back, but they sent a new one, and that next one arrived perfectly. They actually did show up to my house to give it to me that time. Why couldn't you do that the first time? So now I've got high-end collectibles that are just being left in the street for cars to hit and get mixed up in the recycling and buried under snow. And I've sat with this since February because that just was like the cherry on top. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And then finally I remembered, oh, hey, I bought that guitar pedal. And guess who it was with? UPS. So I looked up the tracking item, found the information, and of course it said tracking item not available. And, you know, that was supposed to have arrived, I think, in January, if not February. It didn't. And then I looked up the guitar company, and unfortunately the guitar company is so small, it's basically almost like a custom guitar pedal. They did not have contact information. I'm not kidding with you. I could not find any information from this guitar company at all. I searched and searched, and finally I talked to my buddy who referenced me to this custom company, and he was able to ask a friend, because he didn't even have it, for a contact information, and he got me in touch with some guy who was able to get it sent out to me, which still hasn't arrived yet, by the way. They sent it through UPS. So now, I only use FedEx when I can. I use USPS and FedEx, right? So these are the last 4 times I've used UPS, and they've all been a fail. I've had them completely smash my CGC box. I've had them completely, unacceptably, 1 week later, leave the Spider-Man Hot Toys in the street at the very end of my driveway when it was supposed to be hand-delivered to me. I've had them completely mess up getting a box, a 5-week delay to CGC. I've had them not give me my guitar pedal, and I had them leave something in the street during a snowstorm and it got hit and joined in with my recycling. So those were the last 5 experiences I had. 0%, 0 out of 5, would not recommend. So I think tomorrow, a lot of the things I have with Sideshow, a lot of the action figures and statues I get are with Sideshow. I'm thinking about contacting them and be like, yo, is there any way you can have this all be delivered FedEx? I can't deal with UPS anymore. I'm so done. Every attempt I've tried to make to reach UPS over this has just completely been ignored. And it's just such a shame. Where do you get off? And like, why are you taking the whole signature required thing so not seriously? Like, leaving something at the end of my driveway versus coming up to where I live. I mean, I live in like farmlands, basically. That's not, you can't leave that out by the street. I don't, rant over, I guess. Anyway, guys, I hope I ruined your Monday morning by hearing me bitch and complain about UPS. If you've got any nightmare stories, please leave it down below. I fully empathize with you. This is ridiculous. I want to hear them. If you got a story, let me know, man. And as always, keep on collecting, as long as FedEx is delivering.